Have you ever realized that your entire life might not be shaped by the events that happen, but by how you observe them? It sounds simple, almost poetic, but it's deeper than that. It's physical, it's energetic, it's quantum. Reality is not a fixed stage where you simply perform. It's malleable, plastic, alive. What you observe often with emotion and attention solidifies. What you ignore disappears. And that means nothing around you is truly real until you observe it as such. The world you call mine isn't waiting for you to find the answer. It's waiting for you to look at it with enough clarity to become the answer. You are not at the mercy of life. You are the lens that decides what life becomes. The quantum field, this invisible sea of pure possibility, doesn't respond to what you say or even to what you want. It responds to what you sustain with your awareness, and that changes everything. Because if everything that exists is only potential, then your focus is what gives it form. It's no longer about finding evidence so you can believe. It's about holding the belief until evidence appears. The silent observer within you holds a power you were never taught but always felt. That moment when everything inside you goes quiet, but something pulses with so much certainty that the world outside begins to shift. Not because you shouted, but because you saw. You saw with the kind of presence that creates. This is where transformation begins, when you stop waiting for signs and start being the sign. Quantum physics has already proven what ancient mystics used to whisper in silence. Everything is energy until you look at it. Everything vibrates in pure possibility until your consciousness chooses one. In the famous double-slit experiment, particles behaved like waves, infinite, free, moving in all directions at once, until someone looked. The mere act of observation caused the wave to collapse into a single point, a single reality. And if that happens with an electron, what about a thought, an emotion, a dream sustained with faith and presence? This is where the key turns. The universe doesn't respond to what you casually want. It responds to what you observe with emotional involvement, with coherent energy, with vibrational intention. When you feed pain, it grows. When you fix your gaze on fear, it materializes. But when you face the invisible with trust, as if saying, "I know it's coming," the field begins to shift. Not out of obligation, but out of precision. You're not here to just watch reality unfold as a passive spectator. You're here to collapse waves with your consciousness, to choose through your presence what deserves to take form. This doesn't happen through force, it happens through focus. Not through how hard you fight, but through how steadily you sustain. And that's why so many try to change their lives through effort, yet remain stuck in the same cycles. Because they're still observing the world through the eyes of their old self, still collapsing the same timeline, with the same emotion, the same vibrational pattern. The most common and most subtle mistake is believing that life is happening to you, as if the universe is out there, deciding what you do or don't deserve. But that's a convenient illusion for those who haven't yet remembered their own power. Reality is not being pushed against you, it's being pulled by you. By the frequency you hold when no one is watching. By the way you treat yourself in the quiet moments. By the story you keep telling about who you are. Nothing shifts on the outside until you shift what you observe on the inside. And that change doesn't come from scripted affirmations or repeated promises. It comes from presence, from consistency, from looking at lack and seeing abundance, from standing in the chaos and holding the vibration of order, from witnessing emptiness and still choosing to sustain the frequency of love. Not to pretend, but to affirm, I am no longer the same. Most people keep feeding the reality they don't want simply because they don't realize they're emotionally observing what they don't want to live. They think they're just acknowledging what is. But acknowledgement is also a vote, a vibrational signature, a reinforcement in the field. And the universe, loyal as it is, responds with precision, not to what you say you want, but to what you vibrate as if you already are. That's the real shift. When you no longer need the world to say yes in order to feel ready. You feel first. You sustain first. You observe the new timeline as if you're already living it, and it moves towards you as an inevitable reflection of your coherence. There is a place within you that needs no proof, a calm center, unhurried, that knows that observes without anxiety, without rush, without trying to control every step of the process. This place is the silent observer, the aspect of your consciousness that creates without needing to touch. It doesn't move out of desperation. It isn't convinced by immediate results. It simply sees. And by seeing with such clarity, it begins to turn the subtle into the tangible. This is where true manifestation begins, when you stop reacting to what is visible and start responding to what is vibrating. When you stop asking, "Where is it?" and start affirming, "It's already on its way." It's not about escaping reality. It's about remembering that visible reality is always the echo of your past vibration, and the new echo only begins when you change the melody now. The field isn't moved by pretty words. It responds to your internal state. It tunes into the emotional frequency with which you observe the world. When you hold a thought with presence and feeling, you're not just imagining, you're informing the universe. You're saying, "This is the pattern I choose to see." And matter, as always, obeys. But this requires emotional discipline, not to stay always positive, but to stay coherent with what you want to live. And that coherence is born in silence. In the instant you, with no noise and no audience, choose to observe an invisible future as if it's already here. In that moment, you are no longer waiting, you are creating. You can study, plan, affirm, repeat. But if what's vibrating inside you is insecurity, the field will mirror exactly that. Not out of cruelty, but out of precision. Because the universe doesn't reward effort. It responds to stabilized frequency, to the coherence between what you feel, what you think, and what you choose to sustain. And that response is exact, mathematical, vibrational. Nothing slips through, nothing is fooled, everything aligns. That's why so many people say, "But I'm trying so hard," and nothing changes. Because they're still observing lack while asking for abundance, still vibrating scarcity while affirming prosperity, still chasing love with a heart anchored in the fear of rejection. The field doesn't respond to what you say you want. It responds to what you're already becoming. And if what you're sustaining is doubt, the world reflects more uncertainty. If it's resistance, more barriers. Not because you don't deserve it, but because your vibration is still rooted in the old self. And the old self can't create the new. It only recycles the past. You have to go beyond the logical mind, beyond what the eyes can see. You have to connect to that inner place where the new version of you already lives. The one who walks differently, breathes differently, perceives the world through a new lens. And here lies the secret. You don't need to reach this version. You need to observe it as if it's already you. Hold that state with the same strength you once used to hold on to lack. Not to convince the universe, but to signal, "This is who I am now." In that moment, you're not asking, you're radiating, and the field, sensitive, neutral, precise, begins to reorganize itself, because it has no other choice. Reality doesn't resist coherent vibration, it simply responds. Most people are trapped in an invisible cycle, not because they want to be, but because they keep observing life through the eyes of what once was. They wake up and, without realizing it, reactivate the same timeline, the same thoughts, the same emotions, the same words, the same worries. All of it sends one message to the field: "This is still real to me." And the field, ever obedient, confirms, "Then so it shall be." This isn't punishment, it's quantum precision. Reality doesn't shift because you want it to. It shifts when you stop observing the old pattern and begin choosing a new one. And that choice happens before the evidence, before the proof. It happens in the silence of the present moment when you decide, "I'm no longer that." Even if the world still says otherwise, even if the bills are still there, even if fear still whispers, you look toward the new with steady eyes and say, "This is who I am now." That's the turning point. When you stop waiting for the world to give you a reason to shift your vibration and start shifting your vibration without needing any reason at all. When your focus moves away from what's happening and into what's being born. When unconscious repetition gives way to conscious choice. From there, everything begins to rearrange, not because you forced it, but because you aligned. You don't need to understand how it will all unfold. The field doesn't need your control, it needs your clarity, your steadiness, your silent decision to no longer feed the old story, to no longer validate the limited version, to observe with emotion a new timeline until it becomes inevitable. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to live in a flow, as if everything begins to align almost magically? It's not luck, it's not coincidence, it's intentional reality collapse. These are people who, even in the face of absence, chose to sustain presence, who even without external proof, decided to observe with such faith, such surrender, that the field had no choice but to respond. Because when coherence is real, the invisible bows. The real question was never, how do I attract what I want? The real question is, what am I observing, feeling, and reaffirming every day, without even noticing? Because that is what you are creating, not with force, with focus, not with urgency, with presence. Your attention is the brush, your emotion, the paint. What you clearly see within, the field paints without, with precision. But most people still live at the mercy of what they see. They react to their bank balance. They react to the lack of response. They react to the body, to time, to fear. All of that is just habitual observation. You look, you feel, you confirm, and unintentionally, you recreate what you wanted to change. Not because you deserve that, but because you still vibrate as if it were true. Change doesn't come from resisting what is. It comes from sustaining what isn't yet, as if it already were. That requires vibrational courage. It means breaking the hypnosis of the outer world and turning your gaze to the only place where everything begins, your consciousness. That's where the new is formed, not in the noise of doubt, but in the silence of certainty. When you hold firm to what only you can see, the field listens and begins writing the new scene with you, the new chapter, the new timeline. The old world teaches that you need to see in order to believe, but in the quantum field, that logic flips. You believe, and then you see. Because it's your vibrational belief, not what you say out loud, but what you embody through your body, your heart, your emotion, that tells the universe, this is the way. When you observe a future with such inner clarity that it starts to carry more vibrational weight than your past, that's when the collapse happens. The invisible doesn't become visible because you begged. It manifests because you chose to vibrate as if you were already living it. And this isn't about forcing optimism. It's about becoming familiar with the new before it materializes. It's looking within and feeling, this is my frequency now, even if the world outside says otherwise, even if no one gets it, even if everything looks the same. Because deep inside, you already know. The shift has begun. The field doesn't work with timers. It works with coherence. It knows when you've stopped oscillating, when you're no longer just visiting your new self, but living in it, not as a future wish, but as a present vibrational identity. At that point, you're no longer waiting, you're collapsing. Because the field is sensitive to what you sustain in silence with emotion, not to what you repeat without presence. And then, something shifts, first within you, then in the details. An unexpected meeting, an out-of-the-blue email, a breakthrough that once felt impossible. Not because you pushed, but because you held the vision when no one else could see it. That's the most powerful signal you can send. I chose this reality, and I'm sustaining it now. The universe hears, and it always responds. There is a moment, silent, almost invisible, when everything changes. It's not when the miracle happens, it's when you decide it's already on its way. This decision isn't loud, it isn't displayed, it doesn't come with fireworks. It rises from within, like a seed planted in the dark. An inner choice, steady, vibrational, where you say, I no longer align with the old. I am now what I once only desired. In that moment, you're no longer waiting for signs. You are the sign. Your presence shifts. Your gaze carries a different depth. The words you choose begin to vibrate with new energy, because something in you has stopped wavering. Doubt may still try to show up, but it no longer holds the same power, because your decision has been anchored, not in thought, but in your state of being. And here lies one of the greatest secrets of the field. The universe doesn't respond to the strongest, nor the smartest, but to the most coherent. The one who vibrates what they want to live, even when reality still looks the same. The one who holds the vision while the rest hasn't yet arrived. That coherence holds more power than 1,000 words, because it silently yet clearly declares, I already am. In this state, you're no longer trying to manifest. You're embodying the frequency of your new timeline. And when that happens, the field starts to reorganize, not as magic, but as response. The outer reality, as always, follows the vibration you sustain the most. And from this new inner place, you already know, what once felt like a dream is now your point of anchoring. You're becoming what you once only sought. You're not here by accident. You're not in this body, in this era, with this awareness, just to watch things unfold. You are the very presence that unfolds what becomes real. Life is not testing you, it's listening to you. With every emotionally sustained thought, with every silent choice, with every moment where you decide, even with no proof, to vibrate as if it already is, that is collapse, that is creation. And here's the final reminder: you are the field. You are the frequency that activates. You are the consciousness that chooses. You are the observer turning waves into matter. There is no more inside or outside, only resonance. The world you see is the echo of what you sustain. When you observe a new reality with love, with surrender, with clarity, it comes. It has to come. Because the universe has no choice in the face of a coherent consciousness. It simply responds. So today, don't react. Choose. Don't wish. Vibrate. Don't wait. Feel. Let your presence be the most creative gesture of your day. With every breath, anchor what you want to see. With every step, live as if you're already there. And in doing so, claim your place as the vibrational creator of your own existence. You didn't come here to survive. You came to collapse possibilities into daily miracles. You didn't come to repeat patterns. You came to break cycles with the power of your vision. You are creation in motion. And the universe is simply waiting for your next gaze to decide what to reveal. If this message stirred something within you, write in the comments. I choose to observe with intention, create with presence, and live as one who already is. This is not a request, it's a signal to the field. And if you want to remain in this field of consciousness, subscribe to the channel and leave your vibration here.